Destruction and the Vestiges of the Industrial Era. So we can all think of that book we've always wanted to read, but we're too scared off by its length, not to mention the density of the language within it, to even finish or at times even start it. I'm certainly not the first person to comment on the decreased attention span of modern man. The microwave generation gave way to the smartphone generation, and now with that I find myself vexed at times to even finish a tweet thread. This shortened attention span has spread throughout all of our media and information consumption, and in a lot of ways that's the same thing. Even subtle things like the increased number of cuts in films and movies, to the shortened lengths of rap songs. Like, why make a 4.5 minute long song when you get paid per stream? If you can make the person play your songs 4 times instead of just once, why wouldn't you? This trend beginning with Tay-K and his hit song The Race, but now you see it everywhere. YBN Namir or Corday, one of the YBNs, he even commented on why he constantly releases like 50-second, 1 minute long songs, and he says, well, copyright infringement for these beats that I borrow only kicks in after a certain length of time, so it's all these beats are under fair use. So he's even shifting the length of like music videos in the space due to, just generally speaking, the attention span, in this case the attention span of the legal online legal system, or the YouTube algorithm. Anyway, with the change of form of our consumption, you're beginning to notice some trends that are beginning to buckle. The one that's most apparent to me, other than the ones I've already commented on, is in the written word. Naval recently said something to the effect of, most meetings can be a phone call, most phone calls can be an email, most emails can be, you get the picture. This is kind of the main reason why I wrote my book, Bitcoin for Blockheads, at the length that I did. It's fewer than 100 pages long, just long enough to get the point across and to be used as a reference to get going in the crypto space, but not long enough that you feel that finishing it is some daunting task. Like, you can always see the end in sight. Additionally, I made sure to keep the sections to very explicitly label sections and subsections, so that you always have that short, small dopamine release, kind of like if you were online and getting notifications. Every time you finish a subsection, you get another dopamine release for completing a task. Aside from my book, there are many cutting edge books floating around the dark corners of the internet that I find myself in, most notably like Bronze Age Mindset, which is easily the most influential political book of the last couple years, or the books by Delicious Tacos, etc. Or I'm also reading a book called Capitalist Realism, and again, all these books are below 100 pages in length. You see, when it comes to nonfiction books, and I'm sure many of you have experienced something similar, the author generally gets their point across in the first few chapters. The rest of the book tends to be them repeating the point with endless examples, anecdotes, amongst other things. Books that are stuffed end to end with free alpha are the rare exceptions. Much of this is a vestige of the industrial era and the printing press, more specifically. You see, books used to have to be above 100 pages in length because you could not write the name of the book on the spine unless it was at least that page count. So publishing companies required word count minimums. This is, of course, entirely unnecessary in the 21st century. Most of us read ebooks or listen to audiobooks. I mean, even when we're listening to audiobooks, you speed them up to 1.5 times so you can get through the information more quickly. The faster you can download the information, the better. So when you consider that the power in the information age is found within attention, you need to be especially conscious of how inundated the end user is with information. There's endless amounts of information out there, but the zero-sum resource that we have available to us is attention. So attention has taken the place of capital as the key towards power in the information age. And while I love a good, lengthy, dense read, I can say pretty definitively that David Foster Wallace's Infinite Jest is probably the end of that rich tradition. That's not to say that this new era is worse. It's just different. So if you're leaving this podcast with anything, remember one thing, and that is to compress. I'm Verz, and I'll catch you next time.